Welcome back inside of the Dynasty Draft Room. This is the Draft Seminar. My name is Matt Hicks at the FF_educator, and I am joined by John Lobb, the Gridiron Scholar, to talk today about Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback out of Alabama. John, I'm not going to give too much away early, but I got to say, I am very excited to talk about Tua, and actually maybe even a little bit more excited than I was to talk about Joe Burrow last week. But why don't you go ahead and intro today's lesson for us?
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned Burrow at the top of this show today, because if it wasn't for Burrow, Tua would be at the top of the rankings. I mean, he has just been simply spectacular for the Crimson Tide playing in the SEC. But obviously, Burrow's rise and the injuries, just the little concerning injuries. In my book, you have to place Tagovailoa below Burrow at this point. In 2016 in high school, he was named MVP of the Elite 11 quarterback competition and Knights the Opening. So he came to campus already decorated and highly touted. Now, as a freshman, he didn't play too much because there was a man named Jalen Hurts in the Crimson, gold, red and gold there. He came off the bench at halftime, down 13-0 versus Georgia in the national championship game, my friend. And he led the Tide to the national championship title, and he earned the MVP award. In 2018, he was a dynamic dual-threat playmaker who earned Census All-American, Walter Camp Player of the Year, and Maxwell Award. He had beaten out Jalen Hurts to become the quarterback at Alabama. And last year, he was having another spectacular season. He was on the top quarterbacks in the entire nation before suffering a season-ending injury to his hip at Mississippi State. He was still named second-team All-SEC, but because of Burrow, he couldn't bring in all of those accolades like he did the year before. He concluded his career as the program's frontrunner in career touchdown passes with 87 and total touchdowns with 96. Matt, he has been awesome. I've enjoyed watching him, and he is the second best quarterback available in this draft class.
Yeah, John, and I think you brought up a really good point there. Not only did he suffer the season-ending hip injury in 2019, he also had suffered an ankle injury earlier on in the season, and he actually suffered an ankle injury in the 2018 season as well. So as we talk through Tua and all of the upside, we do have to keep in mind he has a history of injuries. Now, with that being said, having a history of injuries in your past does not necessarily make you prone to injuries moving forward, but what we do know is that the NFL is going to keep this in mind when considering when he gets drafted. I think the world of Tua, you're going to see that as we talk through this episode, but it's important to keep that in mind. But John, why don't we go ahead and start digging in here and talk about his college stats and how they compare to your metrics, your benchmarks for success at quarterbacks at the next level.
Matt, when I started looking at the numbers, I was just blown away because I loved watching him play football. And you kind of look at the totals. You don't necessarily look at the percentages and the efficiencies. And all of a sudden in January, when I started to look into his profile, his numbers are off the charts. Passing efficiency, 199.4. Oh, that's unbelievable. Completion percentage, 69.3. Yards per attempt, 10.9. Now, incredibly, his touchdown to interception ratio was 87-11. That's right, folks. He only threw 11 interceptions to 87 touchdowns. Now, the only benchmark that he does not exceed in my book is games played. He's predominantly only played the last 2 seasons, and he's had injuries. So I have him at 24 starts. I would love to have seen him hit, 28 to 32, but 24 is okay. I feel like I have a really good grip on this prospect and that he's gotten enough time in to really learn and master the game before going to the NFL level. However, you had mentioned the leg injuries, and the hip injury is also a brand new level of concern for the NFL. This isn't a typical injury for a player coming into the league. So my escapability score I have for him right now is a B. Part of that is also because the team I think the coaching staff and the team asked him not to run as much last year as he did previously. His career rushing yards are 347. Look, he's still very good in the pocket, and he can escape pass rushers, but he's not as good as Burrow or Jalen Hurts with his legs to gain first downs, my friend.
All right, John, that's a fantastic introduction here. We're going to go ahead and jump into the film breakdown of Tua. But before we do that, I want to make sure our listeners and viewers know that the 2020 Fantasy Football Rookie Guide is officially available for pre-sale. This is the last week that you can get 10% off at pre-sale using the promo code DRAFT. That has 91 player profiles, everything you need to know about each and every possible player that can be fantasy football relevant from this draft class is included in that guide. But with that being said, let's go ahead and transfer into the film breakdown of Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback from Alabama. And we're going to start it off here against the University of South Carolina and talk about his poise in the pocket. He stands in there under pressure. He does not get phased. He does not dip out early. And it results in a pinpoint pass here off the slant and for a touchdown. He has potentially my favorite thing about Tua is his elite anticipation. The way that he leads receivers around the field is graceful. It's with perfect anticipation, and it really helps feed into his accuracy that it defines his ability to master the football field. He can place the ball at all three levels of the field, and he has a tremendously high football IQ. You could see here against Ole Miss, before deciding on the deep post, he checks down. He actually hits his third read here, and that is common. Alabama does not run a simple offense, but Tua makes it look simple. And Alabama was really able to expand their passing game with Tua over the last couple of years compared to what they traditionally do. And a big part of that is his effortless arm talent. This man can get the ball 50 yards down the field and make it look easy, but arm talent is more than just arm strength. He has perfect placement. He protects the ball like you mentioned. Tua does everything very well, and if there's anybody in this draft class, John, that I want in the pocket protecting the ball for me and leading my team down the field, it is Tua.
Matt, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, it's interesting because he doesn't have your prototypical size. He's 6'0" and 217 pounds. But, you know, with Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, I think the NFL is much more accepting of a quarterback who might be a little bit on the shorter side. You know, he's not that idyllic 6'3", and he's not huge like Ben Roethlisberger or Justin Herbert. But, man, you had mentioned some unbelievable traits that I have also seen. He is really a Picasso on the football field. He's an intelligent leader who processes information quickly. He reads coverages and he comprehends route concepts. That's why when you were talking about his anticipatory skills, that is all because of his ability to process information. He's the commander of the pocket with rapid feet and a calm demeanor. You don't see him get shaken very much while the pass rushers are bearing down on him. He's composed and he has musical footwork. His eyes remain wide open downfield and he scans for targets. He's incredibly accurate and he challenges defenses vertically and at all levels of the field. You mentioned he has proper technique and excellent follow-through on his passes. You could almost put a film together teaching young children how to throw the football using him as an example. He's a stupendous decision maker. He's got natural instincts and his legs and mind are in sync as a passer. Quick release and he hits receivers in stride. Matt, he's the full package. He should be off the board with the second pick in the draft. You might have to be patient if he doesn't come back right away, but he could be a superstar in this league, my friend.
I think you said it perfectly, John. Patience here, if it's needed, I think will be well worth it. And at the draft room here, the Dynasty draft room, we rate all of our players out. Let me tell you, we have a lot of games watched on Tua, combined probably close to 20-plus games here in film sessions, and we have him graded out at an 85. That projects him at a high-end starter. That's a very, very good grade for us. especially at the quarterback position. So we think the world of him. Hopefully that probably came through with me and John's film breakdown as well. You can check out all of John's fantasy football rookie profiles at footballdiehards.com, and he is on Twitter at gridironschol91. I am on Twitter at the FF_educator, and you can check out all of my work, including the 2020 Fantasy Football Rookie Guide with 91 full player profiles at dynastydraftroom.com. Lessons over, pencils down.